There is only one winner in the American Idol competition. However, eliminations can still be unexpected even when fans are making the selections. American Idol competitors are supposed to compete using just their own ability at the disposal, therefore fans have recently gone to social media to warn finalists about specific tendencies that might ultimately cost them the victory. They may, however, leave a lasting impression on the judges and domestic spectators in a variety of ways. Reliability and showmanship are also important. However, vocalists may also steal the show by mastering a few unique singing methods. However, some abilities might backfire on an Idol hopeful. A fan recently said on social media, "Hey singers, take a lesson from the Philo removal. A lot of runs in a short amount of time is boring." According to NBC, runs are controlled musical sequences that feel like straying from a tune but, when executed properly, help enhance the music. They are also consecutive notes, usually 3 or more, sung in rapid succession as part of a scale, moving either up or down or back and forth from a bass note or a musical syllable. The R&B and gospel genres are closely linked to runs. Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, and Christina Aguilera are among the artists who use the method. Similar to riffs, runs aren't meant to draw as much attention. Philo became somewhat of a fan favorite during his stint on American Idol, as the commenters post noted. Because of this, it was unexpected that Philo was eliminated after Dreamgirls sang, "And I Am Telling You I'm Not Going." Philo expressed his grief on Instagram at the moment. "And just like that, my American Idol journey comes to an end," he stated, expressing gratitude to his followers and admirers. "What this event has meant to me is difficult to describe. The dream of appearing on the show felt distant. Furthermore, I will always be grateful to God for giving me the chance to be a member of the Identity family." Fans have also been expressing their opinions on social media over the notion that competitors are running excessively. Some fans also pointed out that some singers' overuse of runs might make them look outdated, particularly when compared to the 1990s. Nevertheless, other fans believed that other singers were better at using the approach. "Runs are a gimmick and IMO they are outdated," was one opinion. "Nowadays, you seldom ever hear a professional vocalist do that. It reminds me of the 1990s. Personally, I like vocalists with a more contemporary sound, thus I'd want to see this vocal parlor trick become obsolete. The tunes and voices remind me of what you'd hear in a department shop in 1996, even if some of them are really skilled. This season feels like the best runs competition. It's not that runs are bad. They're very skillful, but for Philo and some in the past, they're good but uninteresting. It's because the majority of their runs were misused or overdone. The air in the Dolby Theatre was heavy with a tangible tension, a silence that swallowed the customary pre-show bustle. Colby really has far greater balance and calmness with hers than Philo, so that's how you tell the big talents." Tonight offered the bittersweet truth of aspirations postponed and travels continued. It was a results night. However, something felt different tonight. The crowded house shook with a faint buzz of expectation that verged on nervousness. The remaining competitors stepped on stage, their faces displaying a mixture of anxious energy and fake grins. Liam, a soulful ballader with a voice that could melt glaciers and a quiet intensity that pulled listeners in, was one of the faces on stage. Ryan Seacrest, always the professional, held the moment in his trained hands, his voice a smooth balm over the raw nerves of the crowd and the singers alike. America had been enthralled with Liam since his first audition, when he sang a stripped-down, unpolished rendition of an old blues favorite. He wasn't the most spectacular performer, he didn't have any fancy costumes or complicated dancing moves. His voice's clarity and the amount of passion he put into each note were what gave him strength. He touched the hearts of millions of people by singing about hardships and resiliency, heartbreak and optimism. His ardently devoted fan group, referred to as the Liam Lights, was a huge network of online forums and in-person watch parties united by their mutual appreciation of this modest performer. But tonight the Liam Lights seemed a little uneasy. Although technically perfect, last night's performance had felt safe. He had departed from his customary reflective approach by selecting a well-known, lively tune. Although the judges had commended his dexterity, there was conflicting online discussion among the Liam Lights. Some saw the shift in speed as a sign of progress and enjoyed it. Others were concerned that he was attempting to fit a mold that wasn't his own and was losing his true voice. Ryan clutched the card while looking at the names. The participants' expressions were frozen in suspense as the camera zoomed in on them. The suspense was increased by the music's dramatic crescendo. Then, clearly and resonantly, Ryan's voice pierced the atmosphere. America has cast its ballot. The one returning home tonight is. The wait was excruciatingly lengthy. Unspoken possibilities seemed to ripple across the air. The word lingered in the air like a painful, unanticipated blow. Liam. There was a startled pause at the Dolby Theatre after a collective gasp. Liam maintained his composure on stage, with a hint of astonishment in his eyes but no visible signs of hopelessness. A faint, melancholy grin appeared on his lips as he nodded slowly, but the audience's hush broke. It started as a quiet murmur and swiftly became a chorus of incredulous voices. Sharp and unexpected booing erupted in scattered form. The judges' faces were swept over by the camera, displaying a mixture of pity and what appeared to be astonishment. Online, the response was instantaneous and explosive, with Luke Bryan appearing to be holding back a sigh, Katy Perry's eyes widening, and Lionel Richie's face wrinkled. Within minutes, the hashtags #JusticeForLiam, #AdolScam, and #BringBackLiam were popular. Typically a source of encouragement, the Liam Lights became an army of moral outrage. Facebook groups, Instagram, and Twitter all turned into battlefields for their rage. "Are you kidding me?" one tweet yelled, expressing the user's indignation in all capitals. The focal point of this presentation was Liam. "What a farce," another commenter said. "This is rigged. He could not have received the fewest votes." "My heart is broken for Liam," read a more somber remark. "The show is trying to push a certain type of artist, and Liam didn't fit their mold. He was worthy of appearing in the conclusion. This program just lost a devoted audience." The concert itself wasn't the only target of the ire. It turned swiftly to face the other competitors. The removal tonight seemed like a betrayal, even though the Liam Lights had always supported each performer and respected their unique journeys. Not only was Liam going, but the common experience and faith in the competition's fairness were also being torn away. Messages started to pour into the surviving artist's social media accounts. Some were empathetic towards Liam, but a sizable percentage had a different tone. "A caution. I hope you're happy you made it through," was one comment posted on the Instagram of a well-liked, positive participant. The actual skill was Liam. "Now, this show is a farce." On the Facebook page of a well-known singer, someone wrote, "You may have been lucky tonight, but don't think you're safe." Another said, "Don't expect our votes. We're observing." Liam's removal was a line in the sand, and the message was clear: you're next if you don't step up your game and show some real heart. The Liam Lights believed their voice had been muffled and their strength had been disregarded. Additionally, they were committed to ensuring that the remaining competitors comprehended the significance of the audience's choice. They were not only spectators, they were financially and emotionally involved by voting. And there may be dire repercussions if that investment felt undervalued. The clamor for action became stronger among the many Liam Lights internet forums. It was insufficient to merely complain. "We need to show them what they lost," one user said in a private Facebook group. They needed to send a message, a powerful, undeniable message that would resonate throughout the show and beyond. "We must ensure that the remaining competitors understand the power of the audience. Our votes count. Let's plan a voting boycott," someone else proposed. "They'll see how many of us there are if we don't cast our ballots." Someone other retorted, "No, that's not fair to the other singers. It will send a strong message. They didn't get rid of Liam. Our attention must be directed towards preventing this from occurring in the future. And that entails holding the other singers responsible." A sense of unfairness fueled the heated debate. After a while, a consensus started to form. They wouldn't completely abstain from voting because it seemed harsh to the other candidates, some of whom they still held in high regard. Rather, they would concentrate on offering constructive critique with a fresh sense of urgency. Additionally, they would express that they had higher expectations. The atmosphere around American Idol changed the next week as a result of Liam's departure, which created a hole and meant that the remaining artists would have to work even harder to get their votes. There was a tense undertone in place of the top seven's customary joyous enthusiasm. The judges provided more circumspect criticism, maybe realizing the change in the audience's attitude. The candidates themselves appeared acutely aware of the shift, and Ryan's dealings with them felt a little more circumspect. They had witnessed the internet criticism and hate speech aimed at the program and, to a lesser degree, at them. They were aware that Liam's removal had rocked the competition's foundation. A slight change was apparent throughout their performances. The emotional delivery of their songs appeared to be the primary emphasis of singers who often depended on showmanship. In an effort to engage the audience more deeply, those who valued technicality were incorporating more intimate details. Consciously or unconsciously, they were reacting to the warning echoed by the Liam lights. Sarah, a strong vocalist renowned for her ability to belt, opted for a subdued acoustic ballad, which was a sharp contrast to her often exuberant performances. The Liam lights responded cautiously optimistically on social media. One message said, "Okay, Sarah. I think that was a positive move. Not only volume, show us some heart." See, someone else posted. They are aware that they must improve. Even the judges appeared to recognize the change once Liam was eliminated. Known for her sometimes outspoken criticism, Katy Perry provided a more restrained evaluation of Sarah's performance. Her voice was quieter than usual as she replied, "That was vulnerable, Sarah. It's encouraging to see you pursuing that aspect of yourself." However, the voting results were the real test. Tension in the Dolby Theatre was much more pronounced the next Sunday. The faces of the remaining competitors were marked with a combination of apprehension and optimism as they stood on stage. They were aware that Ryan was holding the card and that Liam Lights was waiting and watching. The music grew louder. This time, the delay seemed even longer. America has cast its ballot. When the name was read, it was a competitor who had been seen as a serious contender, albeit it wasn't as unexpected as Liam's removal. The person going home tonight is. Although the audience's response was not as intense as it had been the week before, the remaining vocalists did not receive the customary fervent ovation. In the online communities of the Liam Lights, the response was less about the removed candidate and more about the power of the collective voice. "We did it," one user said, with a sense of pride in their words. The message remained there, a subtle undertone of vigilance. "We demonstrated to them the importance of our votes. We demonstrated to the vocalists that flash alone is insufficient. They must establish a connection. This is only the start," said another. "We must continue to apply pressure. We must ensure that the remainder of the tournament focuses on genuine skill and emotional connection rather than popularity or conformity." The Liam Lights had evolved from a fan club into a formidable force. After feeling that their favorite had been treated unfairly, they took a strong, group action to vent their resentment. They had delivered a warning, a message that permeated the entire fabric of the play, rather than merely complaining. American Idol's next several weeks were different. The competitors pushed themselves to reach new heights in their performances since they were well aware of the audience's critical eyes. They attempted to establish a deeper connection with the audience by taking more chances and delving into more intimate tunes. When the final came along, it seemed more like a hard-won win than a coronation. The judges also appeared to modify their criticism, placing more emphasis on emotional resonance and authenticity than technical excellence. The audience's challenge had been amply answered by the two remaining competitors, both of whom were extraordinarily gifted and had shown growth throughout the tournament. They had gained the respect and admiration of the audience, including many of the previous Liam Lights, by pushing themselves beyond their comfort zones and exposing their souls on stage. There was sincere and passionate applause when the winner was revealed. Although their favorite didn't win, the Liam Lights felt a feeling of achievement because it wasn't just a celebration of one singer's skill. It was a celebration of a competition that had been developed and inspired by the very people who watched it. Their voices had been heard. They had issued a warning, and it had been taken seriously. Everyone involved in American Idol, including the judges, producers, and contestants, had been reminded that the audience's power was real, tangible, and capable of changing the course of the show. As the season finale's credits rolled, the Liam Lights online communities were already humming with excitement for the next season. They continued to be music lovers who were enthusiastic about finding new artists. On the American Idol stage, however, they were now also activists, defenders of emotional honesty and sincerity. They had sent a warning, and the reverberation of that warning would surely reverberate for many seasons to come, serving as a reminder that reality TV fans are more than simply viewers, they are a strong, influential force. They would be heard and they would be observed, the reverberation in the arena promised. That was guaranteed by the Liam Lights.